Of course.
Cool. So I'd like to take a little video of anyone that is cosplaying any character from any show that I've been in, and I string that together and put it on social media. I like to give them a big round of applause at the end of my little movie. Can you guys do that? Yeah. Okay, cool. So when I say action, raise your arms and scream like the thunder just took it all. Action.
I first wanted to start by asking, last night you had your event here.
Yeah.
How'd it go? How was it?
You weren't here?
I was not.
I know.
I believe it. I believe it.
I didn't make one mistake. I was like, no. It went well. Yeah, it went well.
Okay, obviously you guys did. Okay, I love it.
The thing is, like, if you rehearse, like, you can only bring what you have to performance. You can't. If you don't rehearse, you can't fake it when you get here, you know. So I brought what I prepared, you know what I mean, and I had time to rehearse. So it went nicely. It wasn't it never is perfect. It's not like doing a rock band though, because when you're in a rock band, something goes majorly wrong every single time. It's just insane. I remember I was in Nashville, and during the sound check for the band, my amp took a dump. It just went out, and we went from being a four-piece band to a trio 5 minutes before they came in, and that was dicey. So yeah, but with one instrument, there's less that could go wrong, and I acquitted myself fairly well. But I mean, it's a strange question because my opinion doesn't count so much as the people who watched it.
Well, they all cheered so much. Do you still, or did you ever get nervous, like performing solo? Is that something that affects you?
Yes and no. I kind of grew up in front of an audience. Like, I like to tell people, you know, public speaking is one of the hardest things that any of us do. Most of us are scared of public speaking, and there's a really good reason for that, because the only time that predators stare at each other, animal predators like us, you know, animals that have forward-facing eyes, that's when we're about to eat each other, you know? So there's a deep voice. Like when a cow stares at me, the side eyes on the side, I don't care. Like, what do you think?
What are you staring at cows or cows staring at me?
Cows aren't gonna do nothing. What are you gonna do? Bring it, cow, you know? But like when any animal with two eyes facing forward locks onto me, I'm like, you know, what are you gonna do? Like, you're like a squirrel. Like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? So there's a very deep voice. The thing is that from 10 years old on, I was pretty much constantly on stage. So that voice has become kind of just a little excitement. It's not so much fear as like, oh, this is going to be interesting, you know?
That's great.
But then the other side of that is that on stage, like when I'm doing a play, I'm so comfortable that I kind of hope something goes wrong. Yeah, because then something real happens. And if you can deal with it as a human being, and there's almost no better way to connect with an audience than dealing with a problem. And you're all together. Suddenly, everyone's bound together. Like, what are they going to do about that? You know. But music, I'm not as experienced in. You know, I've been playing in bars since I was 13, but I've done a lot more plays than concerts. I've done a couple hundred concerts, but I've done a lot more plays.
Sure.
And so I guess I'm a little more nervous doing music, because music, like if you're acting, then if you make a mistake, you can kind of incorporate it into what you're doing, and no one really knows. But if you hit a wrong note, man, like you hit the wrong note, it's right out there. So it's very exacting. Yeah.
Did your love of writing and playing music develop from your love of acting? Did it happen concurrently, or what was the path there?
Huh. I guess it was pretty separate, you know. Like in high school, there was a band called the Vandals in high school. We did a lot of Clash, a lot of Elvis Costello, stuff like that. Can you guys hear? Is this on? Is this hot enough? This mic? It's cool. Okay, cool. So, and I wasn't in the band, but they bring me up on stage a lot. So I was kind of in the band. I was adjacent to the band. But then I decided to be an actor and go to college for that. And then my guitar just kind of became a personal thing for parties and my own, fun. And I did write one song with a high school friend, Gordon Hart, which I did last night. But that's it, And then I was doing an interview once Buffy came out. I did an interview, and they asked me, "Do you play a musical instrument?" You often get asked that, and I said yes. Been playing in bars since I was 13 years old, blah, blah, blah. And like 14 Below is a club in Santa Monica, and somebody from 14 Below read the article, and they got a bright idea. They're like, let's get that cheesy Hollywood guy on our stage, because it doesn't matter if he's any good. If he comes, we'll sell tickets, so let's do that. So they invited me, I came, I don't know that I was very good, did a lot of Bruce Springsteen, and who was I doing, like Tom Waits stuff. Yeah, oh yeah. And just mauling it, but they sold out, standing room only, and so they had me back, and I was like, okay, you're going to be doing this now, you better get ready. So I started rehearsing, and so when the band happened, I was almost ready to do that, and then I got a little better. But yeah, at this point, I remember I was playing with this really well-known guitarist, and I was putting myself down. And he's like, "James, don't put yourself down, man. As a rhythm guitarist, you're all right, man. Like, on a professional level, I'd play with you. I wouldn't brag about it, but I would." And I was like, "I'll take that." Yeah, so that's it.
You mentioned high school. Out of curiosity, what were you like in high school?
I was like a billboard for like, I am leaving as soon as you let me. As soon as I am legally not having to stay at home, I am gone. I grew up in an agricultural place, and if you had a car or were on the football team, you were in, and if you didn't, you were out. And I was like, I'm fine being out, man. So, like, I had a big blonde afro. I wore zoot suits that I made myself. Like a zoot suit is like a Latino thing that was actually a political rebellion against the rationing that was happening in World War II. So like the Eisenhower jacket that goes around the waist, that was actually to conserve wool for the soldiers. So a bunch of fashion stuff was all about conserving. The Latinos were like, F that, man. I'm gonna wear like a jacket down to my knees and the pants are gonna come up to here, and and so I would go buy oversized suits at the Salvation Army and take them in, and like, rolling up in zoot suits, Chinese exercise slippers, I was just like, I don't belong here, man. I don't know why they stuck me here, but as soon as you turn your backs, man, I'm going to a bigger city, because I knew that I wanted to be an actor since I was 10 years old, and you got to go to a big city for that. But to this day, I'm more comfortable, because I was born in a town of 200 people up in the mountains, so like, I'm more comfortable when there's more trees than people. I really relax. But I've spent my adult life in big cities because of my profession, which is kind of ironic.
So you said you wanted to be an actor since 10. Was there like a moment, was there a movie, an actor, was there something that sparked in you, or was it just inherent?
No, I was doing my second play of my life. The first was Winnie the Pooh. I was Eeyore in 4th grade. I think I really dug into the pathos. I remember really wanting to, I want to really get the sadness. I was very serious about it. Oh my God, I would give anything to see that. Little Jimmy Marsters trying to be Hamlet, with the ears. But we were doing a musical that had just been on Broadway called The Me That Nobody Knows. And it was really cool, actually. It was written by inner city kids, the monologues, writing about their own lives. And then they took those pieces, and professional Broadway songwriters would write songs based on
the monologues, and that was the show. So we're a bunch of like suburban kids trying to be inner city kids, so that's pretty pathetic. But I was singing my song, which is called Light Sings All Over the World, and I was down on the apron singing it. So the apron is the part of the stage that's closest to the audience. And usually it sticks out a little bit, it doesn't hear, but it's that part. So I'm down there, and I'm singing, and it's going real well. And I'm just looking at the audience, and it just occurs to me that me and the audience and the people backstage, we're all actually in the same room. That the stage is a false barrier, and that we're all kind of together trying to have a good time together right now. And there was a sense of connectedness and belonging and harmony in that, and I got addicted to that, and I followed it for a long time.
That's great. So obviously we have quite a few Buffy fans in here, I assume. So when auditioning for Spike, was there any like other roles that you pulled from? Probably not Eeyore, but was there any like moments previously in your career that you're like, hey, you know what? This is a previous role. This might work.
Yes. It all happened really fast because apparently I was told later that they've been looking for someone for Spike for many months and couldn't find them. And they were about to film, and there was just a few days left. So I think they put the word out into Hollywood, like, scrape the bottom of the barrel, we gotta find somebody. And they found me at the bottom of that barrel, yeah.
Goodness.
I normally wouldn't have gotten that, yeah. I would not have gotten that good of an audition normally. I'd already been on a few TV shows as a guest star, but my resume was, like, Hollywood doesn't care about your stage work, right? Like, I had done 100 plays, and I came down to Hollywood like, oh, I'm gonna bury you people. And all the Hollywood people like, you've done 2 guest spots, you're nothing. I'm like, fuck you. So normally I wouldn't have got it, but I got the role. I remember, I was like, okay, so the whole point of acting is to have fun. Like where I come from in theaters, they say, it's called a play for a reason, bub. No one wants to watch you work. So have fun. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna have fun. And it's obvious that Spike is having a blast, but he's having a blast shredding innocent people. So, you can play that, or you can really dig into it and try to be honest to it and really take it in and do it as real as you can, which is what you're supposed to do. So I was like, okay, so I just had come off of a Macbeth in Seattle before I moved down, and I had to play, I played Macbeth, and he was a character that, he wasn't like sadistically enjoying killing people, but he was really good at it. It was his job. So he would go out on the battlefield and like cut people open in one swipe, and just like medieval face-to-face combat was his daily job. And so I would just imagine him coming home from a day at the work, and Lady Macbeth's like, oh, so how was work, honey? Oh, it's fine, what's for dinner? So he was at peace with that. So I was kind of halfway up that hill already, and so it was a little easier for me to kind of tweak that a little bit so that I was having fun. And then I ripped off Rutger Hauer in Blade Runner. He was so cool. But he had kind of a stillness, an otherworldly stillness to him. Do you guys remember him in that? Yeah. There was a power in his simplicity and his focus, and he was a little crazy, but it was very effective. I remember trying to take that, and then Malcolm McDowell in Cat People, which is a weird movie by Paul Schrader. You know it? Oh my God! So it's weird, and it's really pretty good actually. But he plays a guy who sometimes turns into a cat, but it's cool. And he had this feline walk, this oppositional walk, almost like a boxer when he was moving. And I was like, someday I'm ripping that right off. And I ripped that off too. But we had 3 days. From the time that I was cast to the time I was filming Spike, I had 3 days. So it was just like, grab anything that you can and just go. So.
What a cool amalgamation of things. And from what I read as well, was there like an accent that they wanted you to try? Was that a thing?
Oh yeah, they said that they wanted the Sid Vicious of the vampire set, so it was obviously lower class London English. I later told them, you don't want Sid Vicious. And they're like, yeah, we do. I'm like, okay, I'm from punk, so this is Sid Vicious, so you know you're wrong. Girls like me because I have a beautiful face and a lovely figure. Sid was a moron. He didn't play on the one album they did. He ruined the tour. He basically broke up the band. He was a heroin addict. You don't want that, man. Come on. You want Johnny Rotten, don't you? And they're like, just give us punk rock, man. I'm like, okay, cool. So, yeah. So I went in with an English accent, and during the callback for it, they asked me if I did anything else. And I basically told them, like, guys, I'll do anything, any accent that you would cast me for, I can do that. Like, don't ask me to do Korean, you know. I've never tried that, but you know, like any white boy accent, sure. So, and they're like, well, hit us with something. And I had this thought. I had come, I'd done this play in Seattle where I played the murderer. Played a lot of villains. So like, there's a murderer, and he's pretending to be mentally challenged to get away with serial killing. And he's trying to lure the cop out of her home. And so he calls her, and he's just on the phone with her, seducing her to come out on a date, but he's going to kill her, and using a fake accent to do it. So I thought that the sexiest accent that I could think of was it's kind of like a James Cobble kind of thing, like way down in Louisiana, like, oh baby, come on out now. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Come on, baby. You know, like that, right? And I'm on the phone, and during the run of the play, we're getting all these laughs that I don't understand why all these laughs are happening. And I asked the director, John Peelmeyer, why are we getting these laughs? Just so I know. He's like, oh, they think you're black. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, well, you're using that accent. I'm like, well, I didn't think that was a black accent. He's like, no, I mean, 300 years ago, that would have been an accent that everyone was using, but these days, in the modern time, it's mostly black people have that accent. James Carville still has it, but whatever, but they think you're black. So I thought, oh, I'll use that one, because Spike is old, and he would have been coming from a time where that was a normal accent for a white boy to have, so that would be cool. So I tried that, and they liked it, but they were just like, no, we like our idea better. And I think it was better.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
You know, let's be honest, you nailed it. Yeah, we can clap. So if it's okay with you, we do have a microphone.
This is the best part.
Let's get to questions.
Yeah, and guys, you can ask me anything that you want. I am shameless. Try to embarrass me, it's impossible.
Is that a challenge?
Yeah, bring it. But I don't promise to answer anything that you ask.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, what's your name?
Just kiss that thing, baby. Just come on, rock star. Yeah.
So, James, welcome back to OKC again. So I'm sure you've heard about the Buffy requel.
Yeah.
Would you be open to reprising Spike if they ask?
I am open. Yes, definitely.
Because, you got Sarah back, and you got the lovely, talented Ryan Armstrong as the new Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we will see Spike. Everybody wants it.
Yeah, I've been told to shut my mouth.
NBA, that's a good sign. That's a good sign.
You can infer whatever you want to from that. That's all I'm going to say. Otherwise, I'm going to get spanked so hard when I get back to LA.
No answer is the answer.
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Great
I'm very
question.
excited. Yeah. What I can say about that is that Chloe Zhao is directing the pilot, and she did Nomadland, which is one of the best independent character-driven movies that has come out in years. She's also directed a Marvel movie, so she's got both sides of that. And the Zuckermans, the writing partner, I think they're sisters, who are the showrunners for the show. They got a show called Poker Face, right? Which is amazing. So the talent level for the writer-producers is just off the charts. And every Hollywood screenwriter loves Buffy. If you are a writer, you can recognize good writing, and anybody with a nose knows that the writing on Buffy was phenomenal. So everybody, it's a feeding frenzy. Everyone's trying to get in on the Buffy reboot. Everybody wants to write for that show so they can have their pick of Hollywood writers. So they're going to have the best of the best. So it's going to be, it's very exciting.
Hello. I was at your concert last night. I really enjoyed hearing your original music for the first time. Obviously, know you from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and it's been a pleasure to hear you talk about all of your theater experience and your theater background. And I like to ask this question to any celebrity that has a theater background. What would be your favorite roles in a straight play, a musical, and, what was the third one? There's straight plays, musicals, and you'll just start with that. Like, I can't remember the third one because I'm nervous.
I love it. I guess for straight roles, it would be...
Oh, Shakespeare, sorry.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll answer 2 and 1 for the first one.
Okay.
And it would be, the ones that I'm most proud of for theater are the ones I had to fight for, where I had a different vision than the director. And so my favorite role was the Macbeth that I talked about before. So Macbeth is a play that is known as one of the greatest works in Western literature, but it's usually, if you go see it, especially in America, it sucks. Because there's certain mistakes and assumptions that are made, like Lady Macbeth is a bitch. She's not. She's a criminal. And they say, oh, she castrates Macbeth, and Macbeth is weak, and he just follows around, Lady M and whatever. She's just running him around by the nose. No, they're 2 criminals, man. They're like Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro about to steal a car. And like Macbeth is like, man, I don't think we should do it. And they're underneath the street light with the Jimmy about to like jack the car. And Joe Pesci's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why didn't you say that last night? My God, like he would lay into him, and that's all that Lady Macbeth does.
She's
and
like, no,
Macbeth,
we got this.
Yeah, and Macbeth is like, shut up, man, I don't want to do it. So there's certain mistakes that are made, and I had just the year before I had played a small role in another production of Macbeth and watched somebody drown in the role. A really good actor that was misdirected, frankly, as nobody's fault, but that's just how America does Macbeth. He got laughed at, man. He got laughed at. And I was like, I was just like, the dead guy on the floor, and I'm taking notes. I'm like, okay, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And when I got the role, I fought for what I had researched were the mistakes, and we ended up getting standing ovations 70% of the time. Like, it was a really big hit. So I'm really happy about that. And then there was another straight play, a Heinrich Ibsen play called Doll's House.
Oh my
which
gosh,
is,
okay.
Yeah, it's the proto-feminist play, right? And it's about a woman who is in a marriage and she's getting suffocated by the patriarchy, basically. And it's so suffocating for her that she has to leave the marriage, and she has to leave her children as well.
Well, it's significant because of the time it was actually like almost a death sentence to do that. Like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's different.
This is the late 19th century, so 1885, something like that, Civil War times. Right?
Yeah, it was an extreme act to walk out of your home.
Exactly,
and your family.
right? And so the thing is, again, it's known as this great work, but when you see it, it sucks. Why is that? And the thing is, what people say when they go see it is, I hate Torvald, it's the husband, right? I hate him so much. And after 5 minutes, I wanted her to leave him, but she doesn't leave for 2.5 hours. And I'm just sitting there like, leave this. And you hate both of them by the time she leaves. So that's not right. And I was arguing to the director, I was playing Torvald, and I was like, okay, this play is not, the theme of this play is not don't marry Torvald. The theme of the play is that the whole society is messed up. It's an indictment of the entire patriarchy, the whole deal. So if that's to make that work, Torvald has got to be the most enlightened man in the city. He's got to be the best you can hope for, the most loving, the most caring, the most supportive that's available in this culture. And that still is suffocating. And so I fought tooth and nail for it. And I didn't get fired, but it was kind of close. But when we finally got to previews, which is where you finally get an audience but no critics yet, and you have about a week of that before you open, we're down at the final scene where Nora tells her husband that I've got to leave. and we hear this weird, me and Nora, we're like looking at each other like, are you hearing that? Like there's this weird sound out in the house, in the audience. And we realized that sound is people crying. And I knew that I got it right. That's exactly what it should be. So I'm very proud of that. Musicals,
I have to know the musical.
haven't done so many of those. I wasn't very good at those.
Oh, stop that. You were.
I was terrible in Guys and Dolls. I was one of the dancers. I couldn't remember the choreography, man. Like, I can remember stunt choreography. It's the same thing, it's dance. Stunts, and it's just more dangerous. Stunts are more dangerous, but it's the same deal. But for some reason, I couldn't remember. Oh my God, it was pathetic.
Would you sink your teeth into Sweeney Todd or anything
Yeah,
like that?
I would love to do Les Mis.
Yes.
Never done it.
Who in Les Mis?
Yeah, like I did Modesto Youth Theater, which gave me a lot of professionalism. Paul Tischer runs that in my hometown in Northern California. But they did stuff like Carousel, Guys and Dolls, stuff like that. A lot of old time musicals. So I never got to try Les Mis. But I got to move on.
Thank you. I was just about to say that.
You like push the theater button, and I only have time for one question
Thank you.
today.
It's too much. Thank you.
Sorry about that, guys.
Hey, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Aaron.
Hey, bud.
And thank you for coming to Oklahoma City. I've always wanted to meet you, and thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Hell yeah.
I know, my question is, I know they were trying to keep it a secret, but the network kind of spoiled Spike going over to Angel. That was the thing.
Yeah.
But what was it like going from a show that you were on for several years and knowing the cast, knowing the crew, and then going into a different show with different actors, different crew possibly? How was that dynamic shift? Was it difficult? Was it awkward? You know, you coming in at the last season.
You know, it was not that different for me because the directors were the same, the writers were the same.
Yeah.
I worked with David already. The stunt crew were, a lot of the same stunt crew were doing it. So like for me, it was very similar. The biggest difference was that on Angel, it was a normal TV show and they shot for 12 hours. Like normally in television, you shoot for exactly 12 hours. You don't go home early because you have to. The producer's paying for 12 hours anyway, so they'll add a shot if they can. They don't go a second after because you have to pay the crew golden time, pay them double for anything after. So it's right 12. Buffy, we never did 12. It was 14, 16 was absolutely normal, and it was up to 20 quite often.
Ouch.
So, oh yeah, that was. Basically, it felt like minimum day, you know, the whole time on any show. I was like, that's fine. But yeah, that was the biggest difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure, man.
So I love seeing you in Buffy, and I love seeing you pop up in cameos all over because I know it's going to be a great show. Is there a character that you played in a cameo that you wish kind of became like almost a regular?
Declan Horn on Wedding Band. It only lasted for one season. And actually, Brian Green, who's here this weekend, was in that. And we became friends. He's a musician too, he's a drummer who plays guitar. I'm a guitarist who can't play anything else. I played an aging rock star. So someone who had a lot of hits before, was still producing music, but wasn't like the hottest thing anymore. And I don't know, I just had a blast with it. I remember walking to Crafty across the lawn, because we were shooting location, and I'm still in character, man. I'm just having a blast, man. Rock star, it's great. You know? And like, one of the crews is like, man, you're not playing a rock star, you just are a rock star. And I was like, damn straight. And there's a scene where my character goes, I'm a rock star. And she goes, well, you used to be a rock star. He's like, no, darling. It's like being knighted. They can't take it away from you. and I was just like, you know, James, take a note from that. Like that guy has made it, and he knows it, and he's grateful for it, and he's having fun with it. And he's I don't know. I was at a time in my life when I was like worried, what's the next best thing? I gotta do something else, And I was like, dude, relax, you're Spike, man. Just have fun. Yeah. So that gave me a lot.
Hey, what's your name?
My name's Aurora, and since you have been talking about mistakes, like, has there been any mistakes that you liked in one of your shows and you wish that they kept it or they did keep it?
In other words, when you were doing Buffy and Angel, did you ever had to ad lib and you wish they kept it in or they did keep it in and you really liked it?
I like the way that it's Laura, right?
Yeah.
Laura?
Aurora.
Aurora, even better. Great name. I like the way Aurora said it, actually, the mistakes.
Yeah.
That's kind of the whole point of film acting, actually. Like in theater, you have a game plan, and it's very finely calibrated, and you take a whole month for every moment to make, and it's all dialed in. In film, you're really improvising. Like the best stuff in film are the mistakes, are the things that I don't plan on or that I'm not aware of, and just letting it happen as it happens, and being willing to be, I don't know, seen in all my weirdness and all the parts that I don't even want anyone to know about, and let all of that out, and not edit myself and try to look cool, and make mistakes. Is kind of the whole thing. It's a very brave thing to have to do, frankly. There is one thing in Buffy that happened that was kept during the musical episode, when the whole cast were all singing at the end, and we were blocked to back up. We gotta save the world, or whatever we were singing, and we're backing up, and I bumped into a column that was behind me. And I kind of went, I just reacted as a person, like, oh man, I messed up, and I kept going. And we cut, and the director's like, oh my God, that was fabulous, we're keeping that. That was so Spike. I'm like, what? I don't even, but it's in there. Yeah, definitely. Great question, Lauren.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I'll try and keep this short. My question is more about Angel.
Yeah.
I struggle with periods of depression in my life, and when I go through particular low points, I tend to hold on to the media that I cherish. So I was revisiting Buffy, and I was watching Angel for the first time. Loved seeing you in that. But there was another actor that I really, really loved, Andy Hallett. I was wondering if you knew him very well, or if you could tell us anything about what it was like to work with him.
Andy was one of the most phenomenal human beings that I've ever worked with. He was unflaggingly loving and fun. I knew him because we worked together for a year, and when you were 12 hours with someone under that kind of pressure, you get to know him real well. He was in pain all the time. Some people can deal with contact lenses, like the kind of contact lenses that he and I were wearing, and I only had to wear them when I was vamped out. He had to wear them all the time. They cover your entire eyeball. And some people, like me, it doesn't bother. And some eyeballs, it bothers a lot. And Andy had those kind of eyeballs. And so he was in some pretty severe pain the whole time. And just to watch him be gracious and patient and keep in it and realize that he was doing something that was really kind of fun and special was just kind of inspiring, frankly. He was amazing. Yeah, really kind person, deeply kind. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Hi, James.
Hey, buddy. Get on your knees. It's
Yeah,
okay.
I'm gonna stretch just a little bit here. I took the glucose.
You can adjust it. There's like a squeezy thing, right? I think so. Maybe
There's
not.
usually a little knob you can unscrew
Okay.
and then pick it up if you want.
Nope.
We got.
I should be a pro at this by now.
Yeah, you're good.
Just pick up the thing, man. There we go.
Hey, thank you, sir. First off, thanks for coming back to Oklahoma. It's really good to have you back here. My question is in regards to the music on Buffy. It was such a heavy influence and element of the show.
Yeah.
And especially with you having a career outside of the show as a musician, and Anthony as well.
Yep.
Was there any like jam sessions or collaborations or anything that took place maybe during filming offset or anything. I think I know about one with you and Anthony on his album.
Yeah.
Music for Elevators, I think.
Yeah.
But was there anything else between you or any of the rest of the cast?
Well, yeah. So we used to get together and read a Shakespeare play on the weekends, like every month or two. And I was that guy who brought his guitar to the party, which usually is not a good thing. You can kill a lot of parties. Do you want to hear my Bob Dylan? No! But I did that. And I guess I didn't ruin the party, and so other people started to bring their musical instruments, and then we started to jam after we read the play, after we drank a little bit, and we were relaxed, and we made some music together. And apparently that's when they realized there was enough talent in the cast to do the musical. So you're welcome.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right, we got about 10 minutes left, so this should be perfect. I know. Time flies.
I talk way.
I'm going to follow his lead.
Okay.
I'm Robert. This is my first con. This is freaking awesome to me.
Dude!
My question is going to be off of Buffy. Basically, I loved the Runaways project.
Yeah.
And you did fabulous with this, and for the scientist part of it and all that. I just wondered what your thoughts about the whole project were, and how much you enjoyed it, I guess.
I love doing Runaways. I love playing villains because I feel like a villainous act, evil, is when I hurt somebody for no good reason. And the only real good reason to cause suffering, I think, is imminent physical danger. You know what I mean? If someone's attacking me, I can punch you, it's okay. But otherwise, real dicey to hurt people. You know what I mean? And I found that playing villains, if I can think of myself as a hero or a victim, then that excuses a lot of behavior. And so a lot of villains, for me anyway, are propelled by one of those two mind states. And so I was playing a character, Victor Stein, checking with you like you know. It's Victor Stein. And he's a scientist who's been trying to save the human race from global warming. And he's been trying to crack fusion power. And he's failed. He's gotten into middle age and he's gotten not far enough at all. And then he meets this alien dude who's like, oh, that one's easy, dude. Yeah, I can get that to you, no problem. It's on the spaceship. The spaceship's gone, and I'm waiting for it, and it's going to be a while before it gets back. As soon as it comes back, I'll give it to you, but you got to keep me alive long enough to give you the technology, and I'm sorry, but I eat teenagers, so you got to feed me one every year. And the question is, okay, well, if someone gave me that choice, what would I do? Would I let the human race die so that I could have a clear conscience? Is that heroic? Or would I make the sacrifice and become a fallen soul and kill innocent people so that the human race could survive? And I play a character who decides to make that deal with the devil and gets eaten alive by it and starts becoming a really bad father because of the guilt that he has. And so he's this person who's doing the most horrific thing. But I would argue when we did press for it every year, I'd sit down with the people in the press and be like, okay, Victor's the biggest hero in the whole thing. You're killing teenagers. Okay, let's talk about that, man. And I would, talk about it. And I would talk him into it and thinking that he was a hero. And at the end of the interview, I was like, he's killing teenagers. He's a villain. Come on. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Hey, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Cassie. Hi, James.
Hey, Cassie.
And bringing it back to Buffy. So we kind of know that Spike was supposed to be a one-and-done character, a couple episodes, and he garnered so much following that they brought you back as a regular. How did that make you feel starting out and just thinking, I'm just going to be on this couple episodes, we're going to be cool, and then becoming a regular for seasons on?
It was a journey. Yeah. It was explained to me early on that, dude, on this show, this is not Anne Rice, right? We're not going to be feeling for the vampires around here. You guys are metaphors for the challenges that you have to face in adolescence. So you're designed to be killed. You're designed to be overcome. So you are dying. but we don't want to be Scooby-Doo, so it's not, normally you'd be killed off in one episode, but we want to be more interesting, so it's going to be 5 to 10. And then it went really well. And I knew it was working, and I was hearing that the audience and that worked, and everyone was telling me that it was working, and it was working. And so when season 2 got done, I was like, try to do the show without me, baby. And I'm waiting all summer, the phone don't ring. Nothing. And the show's coming out, and I'm like, fuck. And I tune in expecting it to crash and burn without me, and I see Faith, and I'm like, oh, God. They don't need me at all. They can just make these characters at will. I'm out. And it was done. They called me up for one episode. I was very happy to do that, but that was over, and I didn't think they needed me at all. And then they lost Cordelia. So Cordelia went over to Angel, and they needed that character that would be saying, you're stupid, Buffy, we're all going to die. And they let me, it was actually me and Anya who were going to fill that role. So they brought me in to be the new Cordelia. And ran into the problem, which is how do you get Spike into the room to tell Buffy she's stupid when he lights on fire every time he tries to get in the room. So I thought they were going to kill me off. I was like, it's not working. They're just going to go with Anya because they can't get me in the room. It's like they can't have me in a smoking blanket every episode. It's ridiculous. But they figured it out anyway. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right, we are technically at time, but we have 3 questions left, and I know James says you're good answering the rest of them, so let's try to get through these final 3.
Okay, so I'm going to be brief.
Okay.
Brevity.
Okay.
James.
What's your name?
That's your polite way of spanking me. I love it. Hurry up, James. Hi.
Hi, my name is Julia, and I'm actually asking a question for my mom since she wasn't able to make it today.
Yeah.
She watched Buffy a lot when she was pregnant with me and while I was growing up, and her question is, how often did you improvise Spike's lines or change them according to how you felt he would have said that line?
Not one comma, not one conjunction, not one word. There are shows and movies where they want you to improvise. There's a certain dirt, a certain reality that can happen that way and only that way. And there are other shows like Buffy where those words are so carefully calibrated that as an actor I can feel if I got a one word wrong, I could feel the language go a little bit. It would just slacken a little bit. There was only they wrote it perfectly, and they didn't want you to try to improve anything. Just stand on your tape, say the lines we've written, and you're gonna look great. So just do that, and that's what I tried to do. So not one word. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
What's your name?
Hi, my name is Maddie. So you talked about your theater background, and besides your theater roles not being enough credentials for going into Hollywood, what was the hardest transition between the stage and the camera?
It was huge. I got away with overacting for camera because I was playing a vampire, and they're kind of larger than life. But if you really look back, I get more subtle as it goes on. On stage, especially if you're on a professional stage, it's like 500 people. So a third of the audience is back there, right? And your face is that big, and your eyes are basically invisible. And so whatever expression is going to happen has to come through the body, but mostly it's coming through the voice. And you're hanging the words in the air. And the whole point is to make visible your inner life to someone who can barely even see you. So you got to push it out, push expression out. Film, the camera is right up in here. And so all that pushing out looks false. And so the whole toolkit that I had spent decades acquiring and getting familiar with were all not working. And I realized it pretty quickly on Buffy and realized I knew nothing about film acting. And I had to go back to school and become a beginner again. And I went to the school of Tony Head. And he didn't realize it, but he taught me everything. And I would show up when I wasn't even working, and I would sit on a little box and watch him do his scenes and just notice what he was doing, but most importantly, what he was not doing. He was not acting. He was being. And I could barely hear him. You could barely hear Tony when you were standing next to him. He was performing for his microphone, man. He was just, yes, well, Buffy, I think you should do this. And you're like, what? Yeah, so yeah, I'm glad that there was such a great actor as Tony Head that was on that set that I could learn from.
All right, the final question, and then we're gonna take a big group picture with everyone, if that's okay with you. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Heather. My question is, so Spike's supposed to be minor character, and then they brought you back. Since like part of the reason why they brought you back is because of what you brought to the roles. Like, did they ask for your input for like the character's growth and backstory since they didn't have a plan for him to stick around originally?
They didn't ask me for backstory. We didn't talk about it, right? I like to say that the writers and producers are in charge. They can make me do anything they want me to do and say anything that they decide. That is true. How the audience reacts to that is all my wheelhouse. And they had told me that I was a soulless vampire who didn't care for anybody or anything, and that I was going to get killed off. And I was like in 5 episodes, or if it went really well, 10 episodes. And I was like, then they told me that, and I was like, you got it, you're paying the bills. And they turned their back, and I was like, F that. Because if I play it that way, they're going to kill me off in 5. So I had learned long ago that the way to connect with an audience is find the love. You know, it doesn't have to be puppy dog love. It can be love betrayed, love twisted, but love's got to be down there somewhere. That's the human thing. So it was love for Drusilla. And so from the very beginning, I was undercutting the whole theme, which is vampires are not experiencing love. They are metaphors for challenges, and they're soulless. And so I was cheating. I was rebelling from the very first take, and I knew it. And if I had been in charge of that show, I'd have killed me off on the first episode. I would have seen those dailies and be like, that kid is not taking my notes. Dead. So I'm glad that they were more brave and more creative than I would have been. So anyway. Yeah, you guys are fabulous, man.
You're fabulous. James, you are a true rock star. Thank you for being here this weekend. We're gonna take a big group picture, but you can't crowd surf while we take it, so.